Hello, so today I want to talk about overcoming obstacles. And obviously, obstacles are anything that really is getting in the way of you accomplishing your goal, your vision, or your dream. They can be big or they can be small. They can be just things that are making it, a little bit tougher, have to dig a little bit deeper. Why this is important to really look at obstacles is because the reality is that they're going to be a part of your experience. They're going to be a part of your journey. They're going to be there on a day-to-day basis, whether small or large in nature, as I mentioned. And so it's very, very important to confront them and to look at them and to look how to deal with them in a constructive manner so that you can more easily overcome them, and as well as have the energy that you're going to need to deal with them and to overcome them, because that's part of it too. You got to have the energy both physically and mentally to be able to deal with these things. And so when I look at helping my athletes overcome obstacles and just really kind of look at them in a constructive manner, we do something called if-then statements. And this really helps us to kind of, look in advance of a situation, an event, a competition, maybe even a week or just a period of time of training, and really kind of pull out, what are some of these things that could really maybe be the obstacles in their path, could derail them in some way, shape, or form, or just things that are going to happen because nothing is really ever going to go ideally, and so something is going to potentially happen. And you got to figure out ways to deal with those situations as they arise. A lot of the time when we look forward into a competition, that just creates worry and the what ifs, like what if this happens, or what if that happens, what happens if I make a mistake. I had a triathlete once who sometimes just overly worried about what happens if they got a flat tire, right? And so with the constructively looking at them, and the way that we do this with the if-then statements is one is we look at what are those what ifs and what could potentially happen, but then we make a plan about how best to deal with that situation. What if I get a flat tire? Then here's that person's action step to take in that moment, to help them deal with that thing that happened. And obviously when we go over this, they're not guaranteed to happen. This is not saying that they will happen, but you have to really address them because there is a possibility that it will happen. And when you do, it helps you kind of have a little more confidence. It's part of your mental preparation as you go into an event, to really be able to know that you've made your game plans and your strategies around these things that could pop up, that could hinder you. And then being able to, more likely when you do this and you are prepared for it, be able to implement that strategy when and if that situation maybe does arise. So as I said, it's very simple in nature. It's saying if is the obstacle or the potential thing that could happen. So for example, a lot of my clients maybe get a little bit overly nervous, or maybe start to think really negatively before a competition, or do kind of that what ifs in their mind. They start to overthink. So that's where that would get placed. So if I start to get overly nervous and my emotional arousal control gets a little bit higher than is optimal for me, then obviously this is different for each person. This is part of what we work on, but for some of them it might be, then they're going to, do some of the breathing techniques that we've gone over. Then maybe they'll go over and, talk to, depending on the sport and the circumstance, a friend or a mechanic or a coach or a teammate, and kind of just talk about, not about the competition, about something light and funny, maybe try and laugh a little bit to kind of break that tension, break that stress that maybe they're feeling in that moment. So those are some options with that one. If I start thinking really, really negatively, and same thing, maybe the emotional arousal level goes up, or just, you're starting to worry a lot, then again, same thing. What are the options there for you, given your sport, given your circumstances, given it knowing yourself, which is a big part. You have to know yourself and have that self-awareness of what are the best possible options there. So with a lot of my clients, we focus more on what we consider neutral self-talk versus positive self-talk. So really looking at, okay, well, what does the present moment exist, and what does it look like for you, and then what's the action step that you can take given the situation you're in. So if they have time to go talk to somebody, maybe laugh a little bit, they do that. If they're doing their physical warm-up, they try their best just to focus on the actions that they can take in that physical warm-up. If it's right before a competition is about to start, I have a lot of motocross athletes right now. We look at, if they're at the start gate, right, then they're going to focus on what are the keys to their start. Very simple, basic, action-oriented things about maybe their body posture, or the thing they need to focus on that's very clear and helps them really drive their focus to execute now and what they need to execute in that moment, to kind of help pull them away. So these are things that when I do it with my clients, we look at a couple days out. We don't look at it as it gets closer and closer to the event, because obviously as you get closer, you're really trying to dial yourself in, really maybe visualize and look at a lot of the more ideal things that you're wanting to happen and how you'd like to perform. But I think it is also very, very important in its right time and place to constructively look at these various scenarios and then to make that action plan. Writing it out is also very, very helpful. Gets it out of your head, gets it on a piece of paper, and also because a lot of these things might pop up, pretty consistently from event to event, and sometimes it's just good then, a couple days out, just kind of review them, look at them, remind yourself of what your action plans are if some of these things maybe do pop up. And then obviously each event and each competition or circumstance maybe has some various things that you didn't think about, so you maybe need to think of some new ones to do this. So this is very, very important, as I said, mainly because of helping you to figure out what that action plan is in advance of this potentially happening. It's not about worrying about it, but as soon as you do it, you've written it out, you've looked at it, then you forget about it, move on, and know that you have the action plan in place should that situation potentially arise. But it's not there to now overthink about it or over worry. You've already written out, made the action plan, and now you just focus on what you need to do.